Vamos a hablar de uno de los principales retos de nuestra industria, que es el desperdicio de alimentos. ¿Cómo acabamos con todos esos alimentos desperdiciados? Un tercio de todo lo que producimos se desperdicia. ¿Qué hacemos al respecto? Para esto voy a estar acompañada en esta mesa redonda de 3 empresas, 2 innovadores y una empresa muy consolidada, para que nos cuenten qué están haciendo cada uno de ellos al respecto. Pero antes quiero compartir con vosotros un vídeo de una persona, un innovador que está también revolucionando el tema del desperdicio de los alimentos y que está en Estados Unidos. No ha podido acompañarnos Moody Soliman, el fundador de RIP Labs, y queremos que esté hoy con nosotros, aunque sea virtualmente.
Hello, everyone. My name is Moody Soliman, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of RIP Labs, and I'm very excited to be at FTalks 2023 in Valencia to tell you about what we do at RIP Labs. So our mission is to simply put an end to food waste. But first, to put that in perspective, over the next 4 minutes, we are going to waste enough food to feed over 4 million people. And that very same food waste will end up in landfills, releasing over 24,000 metric tons of greenhouse gases. That's literally enough to feed every single person in Valencia for about 5 days, and it's literally happening every 4 minutes. This is due to the fact that we have an unbelievably inefficient food supply chain system. Losses are experienced all across the supply chain, from the farm all the way down to the consumer, amounting to over $2.6 trillion in losses every year. So clearly we have an economic, social, environmental problem on our hand. And if we're going to come up with a meaningful solution, it has to be easy to use, can be applied anywhere along the supply chain, scalable, and can be adopted by the largest distributors and retailers in the world down to the smallest smallholder farmer. And we believe that's exactly what we did at RIP Labs. So we've developed a plant-based bioactive formulation that can be applied to a variety of surfaces, including stickers. You simply take one of our stickers, apply it to a fruit or a package of the fruit. And as you can see here in the time lapse, by about day 14, the non-treated fruit will start to prematurely rot, while the treated fruit is a lot more resistant to the premature rotting. So if I was with you and looking at the audience right now, I would see a lot of confused faces. How in the world can you apply a sticker to a fruit and have that kind of impact? So what we've done is we've turned to nature. Plants have been producing these natural volatile compounds for millions of years to protect themselves. Let's say, for example, you're walking by a plant and you can smell the lavender at a distance. We as humans think it's a pleasant smell, but it has some very important attributes to it, one of which is to protect itself. So what our plant physiologists and microbiologists do is they can actually identify the specific compounds that these plants release to fight certain post-harvest diseases. That's the first step. In the second step, our material scientists and chemical engineers will develop matrices to encapsulate or trap these volatile compounds, giving us a formula that we can apply to a variety of surfaces, including stickers. You then simply take one of our stickers, apply it to a fruit or a package of fruit, and essentially what we've done is we've biomimicked how plants have been protecting themselves for millions of years to extend the shelf life of fresh produce. Our technology is protected. We have 6 pending applications and 5 in drafting. Another question that often comes up is how in the world then do you protect strawberries or blueberries? Do you add a sticker to every one of those berries? And the good answer here, the good news here is no, we don't. We can actually apply one of our higher load stickers to the package of the fruit and have very much the same effect. So in summary, we have stickers that can be applied directly to the fruits, ones that can be applied to the packaging, and we even have sachets that could be applied to the larger boxes or packaging of fruits. Behind this amazing technology is an equally amazing and talented team of microbiologists, plant physiologists, chemical engineers, and material scientists that came from a variety of different industries to bring this technology to market. A couple of years ago, we started our pilot studies and started working with some of the largest household names in the industry, including the likes of Walmart, Carrefour, Westphalia, and many more. And our technology has been tested and proven. With one of the largest global retailers, we've had some astonishing results in strawberries, where we added 2 days to the shelf life of their strawberries. We've doubled the shelf life of grapes and had some quite good results in citrus, papayas, and mangoes as well. These are some of the examples that our customers have shared with us with RIP Labs and without, as well as with grapes and citrus fruits, where under certain environmental conditions, our technology has lasted up to 67 days. Our technology also meets several sustainable development goals. We estimate that for every $100,000 invested in the technology, our customers will see up to 300% ROI, so that's up to $300,000 into their bottom line. We can save 155 tons of CO2 gas from being emitted in the atmosphere, and over 281 tons of food from being and from ending up in landfills. So again, thank you to Bia and the entire FTalks team for this opportunity. We hope you join us in the fight against food waste, one sticker at a time. It was a pleasure to give you this presentation, and I hope to be with you in person next year in Valencia in 2024. Thank you.
Bueno, una pegatina que consigue alargar la vida de esa fruta que muchas veces tenemos que tirar a la basura. Suena a magia, pero es una realidad y gracias a emprendedores innovadores como Moody, pues conseguimos enfrentarnos a estos grandes problemas. Quiero invitar al escenario, please join me on stage, my super panelists, my food change makers. We will be covering the topic of food waste with you all.
Which one's better?
You. Okay, so I am joined by Juan Aguiriano. He is one of the leading minds at Kerry, the food ingredient company. He leads the whole sustainability strategy for this very influential company. We will see later how he can use his power for good. We also have with us Chiara Gallucci. She is the sustainability specialist at 3D Essence Food and the founder and CEO of Mimica. Solveiga, please help me with your last name.
Pakštaitė. That's a hard one.
Okay, so my first question for you all is around, it's not an easy one, as you may imagine, as the problem of food waste is so huge and so urgent for our industry. But if we really want to become a net zero economy, if we really aim to achieve that goal, food waste is one of the first things we have to tackle. So I'm curious to hear from each one of you how your company and how you are acting to get one step closer to this goal.
I'll start. All of us are looking at food waste from different angles, I think, and from Mimica's perspective, we're looking at food waste that's caused by expiry dates. And at the moment, the way they have to be set to protect consumers is that we have to set them to the worst case scenario, because after it leaves the producer, there's just no way of knowing which conditions it will be stored in. But as a result of these dates, which are too short for most scenarios, because who keeps it tries to keep actively things in the worst case scenario, right? And it means that up to 83% of the food waste in Europe is still perfectly edible when we're throwing it away, which is mind-blowingly criminal almost, but also presents an exciting opportunity. So what we do at Mimica is we've produced a label or a cap called BUMP, and basically it's temperature sensitive, and all you need to do is run your finger over it, and when it feels smooth, like this one does, it means that it's fresh, and only when you feel bumps, like this one does, it means that it has spoiled. And if you want to try it, you can approach me afterwards, but inside here we have a temperature sensitive gel, which we calibrate to have the same spoilage characteristics as a specific food product. So, for example, for this cap, this has been set up to match juices, and then this tag can be set up to match salmon or beef or whatever it is. So we're really accurately modeling that profile. So, and this is really exciting because just extending food by a couple of days, perishable food, just by 2 days, waste in stores should go down by about half. And you also expect to see a 10% sales lift, because it's really important when you introduce a technology like this that it makes commercial sense as well. So the reason why that happens is that when a consumer sees that, you know, you've extended something maybe from a 7-day to a 9-day shelf life, like on let's choose beef, they see that, I have 2 weekends in which I can maybe consume this now. Let me buy a bigger pack size. Let me buy it when maybe I wasn't considering this purchase at all. And when I have a better experience at home because I've been able to use it all, I'm going to buy that product again. So I think this is why I'm really excited that, you know, this really has to be an industry shift to respecting our food and actually experiencing the true longevity of it rather than like a worst case scenario.
Absolutely. I didn't know that data about how much we could save at home. So all those bricks of milk that we have thrown away without having to, right? So
absolutely.
All those products. Thank you. Chiara.
Well, in our case, it's more food loss instead of food waste because 3D Essence Food is mainly committed into the field of food loss upcycling. So basically, we support different verticals along the food supply chain, like farmers, food manufacturers, or HoReCa sector actors, in their mission of a more environmentally responsible production. So, you know, unfortunately, we live in a world where we are throwing away more food than actually the quantity we need. In a world where more than 2 billion of people suffers from malnutrition, the 33% of food gets lost or wasted along the food supply chain. And this contributes to the climate crisis with 3.3 billion kilograms of CO2 emissions and more than 1/4 of fresh and clean water used to manufacture some food that basically never reaches to the consumer. So our mission actually is to transform a low available product, like some food loss, into a high profitable product. Just in our case, we make use of a technology called freeze drying. So our end result will be a valuable freeze dried product in chunks or powder that may be used for endless recipes actually. And I think our commitment sounds even much more outstanding in those countries where malnutrition exists at a higher level because food loss occurs at a very early stage of food supply chain. So basically, it mainly involves low processed food and high perishable products that due to many reasons like structural limitations or climate conditions that are favorable to food spoilage or, I don't know, inefficiency reasons, basically end up into a landfill. But they are still very, very valuable. The nutritional content is still so high. So we try to basically avoid that the food losses turn out to be food waste, and in this way, not only we upcycle some nutrients still available that are basically underutilized and overlooked in some food losses to face the global malnutrition, we also support the client to avoid any disposal cost. Yeah, that's our strategy basically.
Wow.
So Beatrice, simple question, complex answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with age, you lose memory. So I will say 3 things at the same time and no more than 3 because I can't remember more than that. So the problem is we looked at this 5 years back and said we're in a non-sustainable food system. And there are 3 things that need to happen. One is move the degenerative agricultural system to a regenerative system. Okay. The second thing is as the population growth and protein consumption will grow 70%, how do we provide sustainable protein? But you can't do that if you don't diminish food waste, right? Because right now we're sitting on a bottle with 2 holes, one at the top, one at the bottom. So we said, regen and protein, we will do that, but it's massive in terms of investment. Food waste is not an investment, it's a saving day one. Mm-hmm. So this pays for the 2 others as an industry. $1.3 trillion, roughly. I can't even count the number of zeros, right? So in Kerry, we said, okay, how many people do we reach? 1 billion. Roughly, we reach 1 billion consumers through our customers. We're a B2B company, but we counted how many people we reach. And we want to reach 2 billion by 2030 with sustainable nutrition. And so we said, okay, let's do food waste. So we invested. We had a business there already, and we just invested a lot more to make it really big. And we said we're going to do 2 things, not even 3, 2. One is reduce the food waste of our customers. So we are the largest shelf life extension company now. Why? If you look at two categories like bread or meat, bread is the largest processed category. Up to 40–50% of bread is never consumed. It's crazy. It costs 1 to 2 cents per kilo of bread to extend the shelf life by 50%. It's nothing. Meat, 20% of processed meat is never consumed. Costs you 3 to 5 cents per kilo of meat to extend the shelf life. Now, you don't have to do that with products that are bad for you, right? Shelf life extension is very complex. You have to maximize the safety of the product. You have to maximize the aesthetics of the product. You have to minimize the packaging, because you could shrink wrap everything with plastic, but that's not the solution. You have to extend the shelf life. If you do that, we have consumer research that shows that consumers want to help in the problem. Half of the problem in certain countries happen in the fridge. Yes, retail, food service, a lot of it is in the fridge. So we have to help the consumers understand, and you were talking about the drama of the dates, right? And you're helping there. I love that. How do you understand that longer shelf life, which is associated to more chemicals, bad stuff in the food, is not like that. You can do modern solutions, biotech solutions, which are 2,000-old-year vinegars, botanical extracts, citrus extracts, but done at scale in a modern way, right? Which are good for health and are good for the planet, right? And so that's solution number one. And then solution number two, you won't be able to reduce everything. So what's left, you upcycle. And food waste is not waste. It's a byproduct. And we've heard that before. So the time we change our mentality and we start using this as a resource, not a problem. You know, culture eats strategy for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. So we first need to change the mindset. So we're now working on upcycling everything. Now we have an advantage because as a dairy industry 50 years ago, whey, when you do cheese, you create whey. Whey at that time was given to the pigs. It was a byproduct. And we said, okay, this is crazy. So what you did, eventually now you fast track, whey is used for dairy protein by athletes, by everybody, right? So industry after industry, we've done that, right? So we produce stocks, like my grandmother, I'm Spanish, right? So in Spain, chicken on Sunday, 50 years back, I'm that old. And then soup on Monday, croquetas on Wednesday, and tortilla, chicken tortilla on Friday. Yeah, chicken the whole week. Okay, we're doing the same, right? At huge scale. Now, this is not small things. These are hundreds of millions of revenues in this. So the reason I'm talking about the economics here, it's because we need to do this at huge scale, very fast. And so the economics work. If you make profit out of it, you can reinvest faster and at scale. So I encourage everybody who's sitting on interesting byproducts to talk to Kerry, see if we can collaborate. Now, there's a very large beer producer in the room somewhere. I don't see anybody here. We were talking about that last night and how you collaborate, right? Because your waste, your byproduct is my input, right?
Absolutely. So you said consumers want to help. Do they also want to pay? I'm going to ask you another question about how do we incentivize these different end consumers to make that shift, right? How do your technologies also convince them from a health standpoint? You mentioned how these innovations may extend shelf life, but how is the perception of the consumer? How do we change those mindsets? I believe that is the most difficult part to do at all. And I was wondering how you are trying to reach those consumers, your 1 billion people every year, to influence that shift in behavior. Maybe you can speak about your particular technologies, how either your clients or your consumers are incentivized to pay more for these innovations?
I'll start again.
Again, yeah.
So for our consumers, it's really easy because our customers are the food manufacturers, the brands, the retailers. They're the ones who are paying for this technology, which is very low cost, and actually it pays for itself because there's a study that found that for every euro you invest in food waste reduction, you get a return on 14 euros in reduced operational costs, because there's fewer, you don't have to pay store employees to literally chuck packages away. There's the waste management fee, there's the sometimes that get charged back to the producer, all of these things. So that, for the consumer side of things is taken care of, but in terms of learning how to use a new technology, that is the thing that we are focused on. So we've made it really easy to use, and while it is a tactile interface, we're all used to when's the last time you squished an avocado to see if it was the perfect level of ripeness? We are used to already using our hands to test food, and when we're thinking about behavior change, because I come from an industrial design background, everything we've done has been designed from a how do we get people on board kind of mindset. And you don't do that by pulling the carpet underneath people's feet. So people are used to expiry dates. We are not replacing expiry dates. We're helping producers to print a expiry date based on reasonable storage, not the best super duper storage, but reasonable storage rather than the worst case scenario. So from the consumer perspective, they still have a date that they can refer to, that if I store it reasonably well, this is how long I could actually get out of this product. But actually, if I accidentally store it outside the fridge for too long, the bumps will appear as an insurance policy in terms of from the manufacturer's perspective, they want to see that, and from the consumer's perspective, that they get that feedback loop of educating them for how to use it. And actually in our studies, we did a study not too long ago on orange juice, and we put our caps on these bottles and we told them, you just do whatever you want to do, and you feed back to us how long the orange juice lasted. And we were able to safely extend the shelf life in 97% of the households in our trial, just through people just doing what they were doing, because the longevity of the juice was already there. Plus, 80% of our participants reported that it actually changed their behavior, which is what we were hoping for. This being on their bottle reminded them that, hey, I don't want the bumps to appear, so I'm going to put this back in the fridge as soon as possible. So that inspired a better habit, and which, of course, would have extended the shelf life. So to answer your question, from the consumer perspective, it will already be on their products that they're buying, because we're a B2B business. And the more they use it, the more they tell their family about it, their friends. It'll just kind of become more in the normal use case, because at the moment they're just passing meat or milk to their family member and saying, "What would you drink this?" And now they don't have to. So we're making it easier for them.
So in your case, you're working more with clients, and you're helping these companies transform what they used to call waste into byproducts. So how easy is the discourse? How easy is it for them to adhere to this new way of working?
Well, I wish I could say it's easy. Actually, it's not at all, because transitioning from waste to value sounds so unfeasible. But 3D Essence Food has been developed from this challenge. We want to close the circle and basically use what we do not need as a basis for what we need. And we do food upcycling, which is a way of recycling that basically increases even the value of food. So just to give you some numbers, each output from our freeze-drying technology worth 10 times more, despite its weight being 10 times less than the original input. So yes, our strategy basically is to enhance the value of something that otherwise would end up into a landfill. How? Well, obviously, as you rightly said, we are transitioning from waste to value. So by doing so, we should pay greater attention in terms of food safety requirements. That's why we're making use of technology called freeze drying that belongs to the category of thermal manufacturing process in the food system. And for this reason, it's able to extract water, most of the free water present in the food matrix. So the final equilibrium will be, regardless the initial water content from the food matrix, will be at least achieving more than 95% of dry content. And as far as the water content is concerned, achieving a range between 0.5 and maximum 3% of water. This affects a lot the microbiological quality of the product. So basically, it allows to make a product safer and longer throughout its shelf life. Differently from other traditional freeze drying, traditional drying technology, this one preserves the nutrients naturally present in the food matrix as much as possible, because despite being a thermal process, it's a great advantage. So it preserves the valuable biocompounds like vitamin, minerals that are well known to be sensitive to high temperatures. So yeah, so far I've spoken about what's the input, what's the process, but probably most of you are wondering what's the output. So I try to let you embark on this journey of taste and nourishment. Well, the output is a freeze-dried product that could be in a format of chunks or powder that then turn out to be an ingredient itself for endless recipes like functional biscuits, smart bites, nutritional smoothie, refreshing cocktails, or whatever you might imagine, basically.
Okay, thank you. Maybe for Juan, let's zoom out and see from a global perspective what is needed from all the stakeholders. So we spoke about consumers or our direct clients, how do we make them do the shift? But we need also regulators, educators, children, and society as a whole to make the shift. So that systemic transformation is going to be very, very difficult, right? So especially, how do you set priorities? I didn't mention, but Kerry was mentioned as one of the most influential companies in the world nowadays. So how do you use that influence, that impact to generate that snowball effect?
Yes, the Consumer Goods Forum is the association of the top food brands and retailers in the world, right? And it's more than 400 companies globally. So we work in coalitions. One of them is the Food Loss and Waste Coalition. And so the 20 of the top 400 companies have decided to launch a consumer campaign called Too Good to Waste. And so with the, in October, with the Food Safety and Food Waste Day, we launched that campaign. We also have created tools. So if you're curious, you want to know the impact you can have as a consumer on food waste and loss, you Google food waste estimator Kerry, and it brings you to a page, and you can put your own consumption there. And if you keep the food a little bit longer, you see the impact you have in CO2, in water, land use, etc. So these are two awareness-building campaigns that we're participating in the short term. And so these are things we do with other companies in open ways. We also have done a consumer research that shows that consumers are actually very interested in reducing food waste. That consumer research is also available for everybody. You can have a look. And it shows that by creating the right products, the consumers will buy, okay? And then that's on the consumption side. On the regulator, I think the whole topic of best buy, best use dates is an open topic that needs to be resolved and improved. And we're talking about that at the different forums, EU and other countries. There is no global standard on that. Every country has its own. It's like nutritional systems, right? Shelf life systems. Every country has a little bit variations on that. But we try to educate the various stakeholders. And I think as the industry, you always have to start by showing the example, right? So we set the date, we set the goal to reduce food waste by 50% by 2030. We likely will achieve it next year already, right? So if you can do it yourself, and then you can share the best practices with others, the rest of your suppliers or customers will follow, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we're very happy to have been recognized by the World Benchmark Alliance as one of the top 10 companies out of 350. But honestly, this is a marathon. It's just, we're just in the first 5Ks of this, so we still have to go and do a lot more.
Absolutely.
Together.
You are all leading by example through your companies, through your behavior. So I would like to really thank you for sharing with the audience that this is possible, this is already happening. So please give them a big round of applause.
Good job.
Okay.